Alright, how's it going, guys? It's Devsbooth, and today we are back with the top 10 bonus boss loot bosses to farm for the event that's going on. It's going from the August 6th to August 13th, and to start off we were actually fighting Wonton? I've been calling him Wonton, and I'd hate to give you the wrong name again. It's the Maliwan, as you can see there, take down at the Maliwan Black Site. From him you can get the Moonfire and the Ting Boom, shotgun and a pistol. There you can see the Moonfire. That is an incredibly good pistol, where every few shots it does a amp charge fire shot, which does incredible bonus damage. And then here you can see the Tig's Boom, which I've noticed actually causes a similar effect to the Rainstorm, the Firestorm. It's a grenade mod. And then so as you fight the boss, at the very end of it, you can also blow up the head to get even bonus items, and there is the third drop from the boss that is mostly unique to him. Very good, I recommend all three weapons. I'm not super keen on the SMG, but the shotgun and the pistols are incredible. When you beat the bosses, you do get a dedicated drop from them, where normally you have a chance to get one of their dedicated drops for the time being until the 13th. You get a dedicated item drop. So if you were to fight a Gigamind, for example, with their dedicated drop being the smart gun only, you get it every time. And so the smart gun isn't really the best gun out there, but if you are looking for something good, you can always farm him to get it, especially if you're going through to try and collect them all. The next boss I'd recommend you fight would be the Grave Ward. The two items to really be hunting here from him are the Ward and the Grave. And on top of that, he does drop a lot of loot per kill, which always recommended. And here you can see the Ting's Boom in action. Again, great shotgun, and there you can see the Firestorm, Rainstorm effect. Again, I can't remember the proper name of the grenade mod, but highly recommend. Grave Ward isn't too hard to fight, and it's also one of the bosses where it's super easy to spawn in, and you're right close to the boss fight. There are other bosses where if you're just looking to go through and fight the boss, just to try and get drops, there are better ones, especially with ones with machines nearby. So once you do get the two items from him, the Ward and the Grave, I'm not sure how much I'd recommend to keep farming him, but just on like a regular farming day, he's not too bad. And there you can see he did drop quite a bit. For the most part, I am filming or doing the recording on Mayhem 1. I do recommend you do at least Mayhem 6 for your hunting, just so that you do have all the qualifications to get any of the good items. And later on in the video, you'll see why in particular. The next boss I recommend you fight is the Agonizer 9000, and then the second form of him, which is like the Agonizer Iridium Core, something like that. It's not too hard of a boss to fight, and here you can actually see the Moonfire in action. I have the corrosive variation. And so it does take down the boss pretty fast, and the amp shot is incredible. The Agonizer 9000 does drop a lot of items. He does have the phases, as you can see here, so he's not the fastest boss to go through, but he's not the worst to go through either. And as you saw right there, one of the legendary items did drop through the middle with him. I have farmed the boss before, many times before the event, and I never had that happen to me, but each time I farmed him for this event, I had at least one item drop down through the middle. And so I'm not sure if that's just a recent hotfix they did, or what's going on with that, but that is the first and only time I have noticed it. He drops the Damned, the Dictator, and the White Elephant. And if you are on Mayhem 6, which again I highly recommend, he does drop the back burner, which again if you're hunting, or even just to have in general, it's super good to have. And if you are going through to do specific hunting, whether it be for like shield, grenade mod, whatever item you're looking for, again I do highly recommend you do at least Mayhem 6. Mayhem 4 if you're looking to get the class mods, the legendary class mods, but Mayhem 6 will let you get all the potential drops. This is also one of my favorite bosses just for it being based after Penn and Teller. In case you guys didn't notice that, you could tell by how much terror talks in the game. And again, it's not a super hard fight. However, there are the slow immune spots with them, so it does take some time. And again, I have been noticing that legendary drop down in the middle. So, I mean, if you are hunting, if you are farming him, like by all means, do it. But just be cautious of that potential drop down in the middle. See if you're able to snag it. If you're not able to snag it, just be prepared to lose a lot. The next boss I'd recommend would be the Warden. The Warden does have these immune phases, which can be very annoying. But if you bring a corrosive weapon and then a incendiary weapon, not too hard of a fight. Honestly, just in general, he's not that hard. There's lots of mobs around, so if you ever do go down, you'll have many opportunities to get back up. He does drop the Freeman and the Plague Bearer. They're both good rocket launchers. I don't really have any particular complaints about them. He also has a higher chance to drop the Sickle, which is a assault rifle that acts like a shotgun, and then it fires bullets in the shape of a sickle. One of my favorite weapons. Honestly, I used it through my first playthrough. I think up until Revolve Hunter mode, where I just leveled up too fast and then nothing could really keep up. But again, it's one of my favorite weapons. I highly recommend it. They come in different elemental variations. Super strong, it acts like a shotgun. Uses assault rifle ammo, so you can't really complain too much about it. And then there are weapons that you can use where it does take down their health even if they have a shield. My grenade mod does that. However, while going through and making this video, I did notice that actually there are some glitches, I think they're glitches anyways, with the bosses where even if you do have their grenade mod on, where it's supposed to take down the health and leave the shield, sometimes it doesn't always work. And because I am playing on Mayhem 1 instead of Mayhem, I think it's 4 or 6 that you need for this particular rocket launcher, the Plague Bearer. Again, you should be doing Mayhem 6 anyways. I kept getting the Freeman. So, you do see that he does drop the dedicated loot each time. The next person I recommend you fight would be Tront. He's super easy, fast to kill. He also spawns with a ammo slot machine, not slot machine, ammo vending machine right by the respawn. So you can keep farming him for long periods of time. He drops the Kausen SMG and the Tankman shield. The SMG is ridiculously good. You do have to be on the higher mayhems to get it. And the Tankman shield, not the best, not the worst, but for all purposes, I recommend it. Especially again, if you're going through to just collect all the legendaries you can. You got the super big bank going on. But if you are, say you're in your first playthrough, or even just in regular Revolve Hunter mode without the Mayhem on, there's no harm in having it. Tront is also one of the bosses where if you do have the the grenade mod that does damage to health and leaves the shield, you can actually kill him while he has full shields. So, but he's super fast to defeat anyways. So there's no real reason to actually worry about having to go through and taking a long time to fight him. The next person I recommend you fight would be Aurelia. Unfortunately, I'm trying to find the right word. Unfortunately, they do not have any vending machines nearby for your fights, and they actually do take a little bit of time to fight and defeat. They take a lot of damage. And as you can see here, as I was throwing my grenades, she actually does take damage to her shield first, before her health bar, with her grenade mod on. That's not supposed to happen. This is one of the few bosses where I've noticed that you can't do the red health damage if they have the shield up. Just to keep that in mind. She's not a hard fight. It does take a little bit of time, and as long as you're careful and you move around to avoid all of her fun things she does, not a hard fight. I recommend you fight her though to get the Frozen Heart, which in my opinion is a really great shield. When you lose your shield, it's depleted. It does a big Nova burst of cryo damage. So if you don't destroy the monsters or the mobs around you, it does do the. It slows them down. Couldn't think of the word. And then she also drops the Juliet Dazzle. Not really the super greatest weapon, but I recommend. Like if you're able to get it, get it. It's a rare drop. So if you're gonna be hunting for things, now is the time to do it. Really recommend. The next person to fight to farm for is Genevieve. She's not super hard to farm. It does take a little bit to actually get to her, and if you are on the higher mayhems, you'll have to be a little bit careful as you go through and um, fight everybody getting to her. Right there, you saw she dropped the lab, which is a really good shotgun, a really good shotgun, and she dropped the polybus, which is her dedicated drop. I'm a big fan of the polybus, big fan of the lab, both great shotguns. She also has the chance to drop the 10 gallon, which I got a lot. I don't really care for the 10 gallon, but she did drop it a lot if you are trying to hunt for it. And she also has a chance to drop the reflex if you are going for that. It is a really OP weapon and one of the weapons that will help carry you through the end game. I don't personally use it, but she is the place to have the best chance of getting it. You do have to be on the higher mayhem, so again, she's higher up on the list because of the good potential drops. And if you're at a time when you are like getting dedicated drops for her, like now, this is the time to be going for the shotgun. But it is slightly inconvenient. There is a quick respawn time if you were to exit and come back in. So you got the machines. It's an easy fight all around. It's just getting to her is what I think probably the worst part. And again, she does. I've been getting a few legendary drops each time, and because you are playing, or because I recommend you play on the higher mayhem modes, you have the higher chance of getting the class mods, which I recommend just in general. Play on Mayhem 4, and you have the best chance of getting the legendary class mods, which everyone should be using. The next person I highly recommend you fight is Killvault. He's ranked in at number 8 on our list of the top 10 people to fight. If you do go fast enough, after you break his shields and do a little bit of red health damage, you can actually shoot him in the back, and you can make it so that he doesn't phase away, so you have to fight the mobs here. Killvault has the best chance. Killvault is the chance to drop the Monarch, which is an incredible assault rifle. You can get it in all the elements. I wholeheartedly recommend the assault rifle, as you can get it in the ×4 shot or the ×8 shot. And I did try to show you guys shooting the back in time to deal the tiny bit of damage to get him to stay. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do it in the video, but you are able to do so as I have done it before. The Monarch is a rare drop. You have to be on Mayhem 6. I highly recommend you go for it now, as it will cause you a lot of trouble to get if you don't do it now, and because it's such a strong weapon that will carry you for a long time, now is the time to get it. To get it in the shot amount you want, and the anointment you want, as well as the element that you want. I'm actually doing it on Mayhem 10 because that brings out the best chance to give you the best potential possibility of the weapon. Now, controversially, I know some people won't agree. I myself really love this particular weapon. The boss will be honestly, I'm having a hard time saying it, Vermalingia. It's a giant skag. You have to do the Homestead Part 2 in order to get the boss. He drops this tsunami, which is not really what I recommend. It is what I got here, as well as the Hell Shock. The Hell Shock is, in my opinion, one of the best pistol guns you can get. I've noticed Gigamind has a higher chance of dropping it as well, and so I'd recommend you farm him if you don't want to come out here or you're early in the game. The Hell Shock is the weapon I actually used for the takedown missions, the end game takedown missions. It's always going to be corrosive, always going to be, you're always going to be incendiary and shock. I do apologize. Now, before we get to the final boss, I recommend you also go and fight Borman Nate. He's a mini boss, I guess is the best way to put him. The reason why he's an honorable mention is for the weapon he drops, which is the Psychostabber. The Psychostabber has an insane melee damage buff to it. And if you're able to get it 100% of the time, which you can with the bonus loot drop from the bosses, now is the time to be farming it. And I recommend you do it on Mayhem 10, purely for a flak build. And that's why he's an honorable mention rather than a one of the top 10. Just because it's not something I would particularly use on another character. There's Borman Nate, not super hard to fight, and there he dropped the Psychostabber. If you are doing a melee character, which in this particular game is not something that can really carry you far, this is going to be the best weapon to get it. And I was wrong, he didn't actually drop it this time. But the time before this, he did drop it. So it's one of his dedicated drops at least. But I did get it from him while farming him. I did it a handful of times. I did cut out a lot for this video. I was at an hour when I first started. And finally, number 10 would be, I honestly, like, I'm having a hard time with his name too. It's Anatijema, the Relentless. He is in one of the takedowns. You can get it after you beat the main game. I really recommend you get to level 60, you farm as much as you can in order to have a good fire weapon and shock weapon, which, again, with the Hell Shock, that's what I used for this takedown when I was first doing it. He drops his shield, the Stinger, and like he has other like dedicated drops, but the Stinger. If you can do this on Mayhem 10, which I would wholeheartedly recommend, and you farm it enough, you can get the Stinger. He is last on the list. I know he takes a long time to get to, and dying at any time sends you right back to the very beginning of the takedown. But if you're able to get the right element, which I recommend you go for the corrosive, the radiation, the fire, and the shock, you can make such an incredibly OP setup with flak that nothing else really stands a chance. And the reason why this particular shield is number 10 rather than being an honorable mention like the Psychostabber is that the shield itself is actually very good. Even if you are not using Black or this particular setup with the Psychostabber, it's an incredibly good shield. There's other drops that the Relentless drops as well, but if you're able to get that dedicated stinger drop, now is the time to do it,